As the country marks 15 years of the current constitution, the drafters believe the document was best bet for the country, discouraging any amendments. Elizabeth Butuku spoke to some of them and filed this report.
Kenya marked 15 years of constitution on Wednesday. The drafters of the constitution, however, feel the document has made progress but lacks political goodwill. Corruption has been termed as the biggest hindrance to the implementation of the current constitution. They also point out at the violation of the rights and freedoms a challenge in the implementation of the 2010 constitution.
And I think one of the genius of Kenya's constitution is actually chapter 6, because what Kenyans said right from independence, the leadership of the country has actually failed us. So they wanted a certain leadership that can occupy those offices with integrity. They cannot demean or disrespect those offices. In other words, a servant leadership. And by the way, it's actually, I think, probably the only constitution in the world that has dedicated an entire chapter on what kind and character of leadership that we want. So what Kenyans are expecting is that that letter and the spirit of the constitution is actually implemented. Unfortunately, the people we have given responsibility and power to implement this constitution do not necessarily believe in it, especially the current president, because he opposed it. No wonder they don't even respect court orders.
President William Ruto recently announced the devolvement of the remaining functions to the counties.
It is necessary for the people of Kenya to actually own this constitution. And for them to do that, there is civic education that is required. That has been a missing link, because whether it's at the county level, whether it's at the national level, the governments, even when the law says, like the County Governments Act, that there should be civic education.
Third gender rule is one of the misses of the 2010 constitution. After several attempts at the House, the court has since 2012 directed Parliament to pass legislation to enforce the gender rule or risk being dissolved, but several attempts have failed, with female members of the Parliament accusing their male counterparts of blocking the efforts.
Be implemented. It is not possible. You know,
Why
you cannot tell us, you know.
By the way, the biggest weakness we have is very simple. And if you ask me about this constitution, is that leadership, through a democratic process, cannot be anything that you wish it to be. It can only be what the electors want it to be. So if the electors want a thief of their own, they'll give you one. If you tell us that you can achieve gender through at no more than 2/3, no. If you subject this process to elections, as that constitution is saying, you can only get what the electors.
The 2010 constitution states that no more than 2/3 of any gender in an elective or appointive position be from the same gender. Former Chief Justice David Maraga, in his advisory to President Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve the House over failure to enact legislation.
We have seen instances where the legislature, in some instances, has been up to speed, but in general, we still have an overarching executive that seems to want to behave as if it is beyond checks and balances, and that's the problem.
Tekeleza katiba, tekeleza. Tekeleza.
Meanwhile, activists say there is little to celebrate. The lobby groups condemned what they termed as blatant violations of the supreme law, citing killings of Gen Z protesters, police brutality, abductions, and rampant corruptions by governors and other leaders.
Pass a law authorizing other people to prosecute, and therefore EACC, as it did in 1997, can have the powers of both investigation as well as prosecution. And I wish public officials who every now, I think it's 2 years, give a public wealth declaration. Those wealth declarations should be made public, so that we can know, and even lifestyle audits, we can know, where people, are getting their money. And finally, I wish it was possible also to have open contracting, so that there is information on procurement which is available to everybody.
Why is the implementation a problem? Implementation is a problem because Over the years, those who get into executive power think that they have gotten an opportunity to enrich themselves, and that is the underlying problem.
They called on President William Ruto and his administration to uphold and respect the Constitution, warning that the gains made since 2010 risk being eroded. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV 47.